Hello everyone, thank you for being here today. We are presenting our group projects on service and support for adults with autism in Ontario. The goal of this presentation is to critique the current system and explore ways it can be improved for adults with autism. I'm Kit, and I will be presenting with Tracy, Teola, Atita, and Raymond. And first of all, let's go through the content briefly. In today's presentation, we will discuss the provincial programs and funding available, highlight the barriers to service for adults with autism, and explore the gaps in the system, as well as suggested reforms. Let's begin with an overview of the provincial funding and the program currently available. The Ministry of Children, Community and Social Service (MCCSS) plays a key role in providing services and funding for individuals with autism. These programs include DSO, ODSP, and Passport Program and OAP. While the DSO, ODSP, and Passport programs provide services for individuals with developmental delays, the OAP specifically supports those with autism. However, OAP support ends at age of 18, leaving adults with autism without adequate support. This creates a service gap and highlights urgent needs for reform, which will be explored in later sections. Now, let's take a closer look at the government-funded programs available to adults with autism. First, we have DSO, which is the primary access point for adults with developmental delay to receive services funded by the MCCSS. Through DSO, individuals can access essential services like housing support and respite care. To access these services, individuals must apply through DSO, and eligibility is determined based on detailed assessments. Next is the ODSP. This program provides income support and employment services for adults with autism. Those eligible for ODSP can apply online or by visiting the social assistance contact centers to begin the application process. And finally, we have the Passport Program, which is a reimbursement program. It offers flexible funding for individuals and families to cover expenses such as recreational program, hiring a support worker, or respite care for caregivers. And to apply for the Passport Program, individuals must go through the DSO. That's all for my part, and now I'm passing over to Raymond to cover the current barriers to service for adults with autism. Thank you, Raymond.
Thank you, Kit. I'm going to talk about the barriers to service for adults with autism. There are three barriers to service: long wait lists, inadequate funding, and limited knowledge of the program. The first barrier is the long wait list. One of the services that many families with family members with severe autism needs is supportive living placement. Due to the few housing alternatives they could choose from, the number of people on the wait list significantly increased within 6 years. However, this service is not based on a first-come, first-served basis. It depends on needs assessment and risk, availability of resources, and requested support to determine who receives the service. A person who is most at risk will get this service first. Someone may formulate a crisis, declare homelessness, etc. to hope to get the service earlier. Here is a case: Stephen, with severe autism, needs constant care and cannot live by himself, and his father feels exhausted from taking care of him. However, they have been told that it will take about 20 to 30 years for their son to get in a group home. The second barrier is inadequate funding. Within 6 years, the number of adults with disabilities on the waitlist for supportive housing programs has significantly increased, but the number of adults served has decreased, even though funding has been increased. According to Green leader Mike Squire, this is because the government underfunds service agencies that provide supportive housing. Also, the funding is inadequate to support families living with adults with autism. Usually, adults programs are funded less than youth programs. According to the news, a family with an adult with autism does not have enough money to hire a support worker because it needs more money compared to the past. The third barrier is limited knowledge of the program. Using disability tax credit as an example, due to a lack of awareness of the tax credit and widespread misinformation, many people believe that this tax credit is tied to employment status or taxable income. Even healthcare practitioners do not understand the program's eligibility criteria. This hinders those eligible to get the resources. Now I'm going to pass it on to editor to talk about the gaps in the system.
One of the biggest challenges is the transition from youth to adult services. When young adults age out of the programs like the Ontario Autism Program, they are often left without the necessary support systems. The services they relied on, such as therapy and respite care, become harder to access, creating what is commonly referred to as a service cliff. Another issue is access to healthcare services. Adults with autism are more likely to experience poor health outcomes, including higher rates of mental health crises and repeat emergency visits. The healthcare system is not equipped to provide the specialized care that adults on the spectrum need, which exacerbates their vulnerabilities. There's also a lack of employment support. While some adults with autism are capable of working, they face barriers such as a lack of training programs and workplace accommodations. More investment is needed in job coaching and employment programs to help integrate these individuals into a workforce. Last but not least, housing. Adults with severe autism often wait years for appropriate residential placements, sometimes up to a decade. This not only leaves families in distress, but also limits opportunities for independent living. The housing crisis for individuals with autism is a growing concern in many parts of Ontario, including major cities like Toronto and Ottawa. Addressing these gaps requires a coordinated effort to improve transitional services, healthcare, employment, and housing. By doing so, we can ensure that adults with autism in Ontario have the support they need to live fulfilling, independent lives. To do so, now I'm gonna pass it on to Teona to discuss about the potential reforms.
Thanks, Atita. So, what could be done better regarding the barriers and gaps in the services provided? These include redefining the eligibility criteria, increasing housing and residential support, improving awareness and access to support services, navigating adulthood through autism-informed mental health strategies, and enhance employment opportunities for autistic adults. For redefining the eligibility criteria, adults with autism whose IQ is above 70 also have the right to access services. Policymakers should consider updating the eligibility criteria for various programs, such as community day programs, to shift the focus from IQ to different assessments that evaluates autistic adults' interpersonal and functional skills. Additionally, training should be provided to address the skills deficits. Feedback from service users regarding different programs should also be integrated into future policies. For increasing housing and residential support, regarding the long waiting list, limited group homes, and limited funding for people with autism, the government should consider increasing funding specifically for the development of housing for individuals with autism.
Families with autistic members will benefit from access to various housing options when more funding is available, rather than passively waiting on a waitlist. Additionally, implementing training for housing providers would help increase natural support for people with autism. Even when individuals with autism do not access professional support from residential services, group homes, or intentional communities, natural supports such as family members, neighbors, and acquaintances can provide the necessary assistance. Improving awareness and access to support services. Given that individuals with autism, their families, and those in various programs may lack knowledge about eligibility criteria or procedures for accessing necessary supports, all community centers should conduct regular workshops on various topics related to available resources, eligibility, and applications. These workshops should ensure that people with developmental disabilities such as autism understand what resources they can access and how to obtain them. Additionally, staff involved in various programs, such as healthcare programs, must be well-trained and efficient in the services they provide. To save processing time, all programs should mainstream their procedures, ensuring that staff provide efficient support for easy access for individuals with autism. For navigating adulthood through autism-informed mental health strategies. As adults with autism transition from childhood to young adulthood, they may lack the necessary skills for employment, independent living, and self-care. These can lead to feelings of being undervalued, which may result in increased mental health issues. Therefore, a new mental health system should provide autism-informed support in various sectors, including employment, housing, decision-making, and interpersonal skills, ensuring that the transition from child to adult is as stress-free as possible. For enhancing employment opportunities for autistic adults. Adults with autism often lack support in securing employment. The provincial ministry should allocate more resources to promoting inclusive work environments and encouraging employers to hire and support autistic individuals. This can be achieved by educating employers about the benefits of hiring people with autism, such as tax refunds and subsidized wages. Additionally, more resources should be directed toward on-the-job training programs that align with the strengths of autistic individuals, as well as job matching services that connect employers with autistic candidates. Now, I will pass the mic to Tracy for our group insight.
Thanks, Diona. I'm gonna to talk about your insight and the conclusion we got from this project. We're a group that we are all international students. We are new to the Ontario Autism Support System, so we may not have fully understood how autism services are structured in Ontario. Before this project, we already have many stereotypes on it. We thought Canada's have a very comprehensive welfare system and may not have any challenges. But in fact, we saw many difficulties through this project. For example, the long waiting list, the strict criteria. We also saw that many ASD adults and their families struggle to find appropriate services. After this project, we think about what we could do to assist with improving the system. So what we can do seems little, but volunteering is one of the meaningful ways to contribute. So we encourage ourselves and all of our audience to volunteer more. It may help to fill the gap in service and support for them. We believe that even small changes can make a big difference. Here is the end of our presentation, and this is references. Thank you.